is going on, Lakers fam? This is your boy Jay Lake, bringing you Lakers all day, all the time. I'm glad to have all you guys back on.
What's up, Jay Lake?
Hey, Jay.
What's up, Jake?
What's good? What's good? So, I don't know what's going on with our Lakers. We are still undefeated at home. All our losses have come on the road. Being undefeated at home, even with those games, like when we were at full strength, we to the depleted Suns, to the Clippers, and even to Orlando, like we had to go into overtime, and we had to bust our ass just to crank out a win, and so that's not looking so good for our Lakers. All those losses on the road, especially with that Houston game, that one was a horrible blowout for us. What do you think is going on with our Lakers? Like, is it the injuries? Like, I mean, are you happy with Ham's play calls? Like, quality? Like, is it the rotations? Like, what's going on?
It's their defense. I think their point differential is like minus 14.5 in their losses versus 4-point, advantage in their wins. They're just not playing good enough defense. I mean, they're scoring more points at home, 117 versus 117 versus 107 at home or on the road. So they're just not scoring enough. They're giving up too much defense, and they're not getting to the free throw line enough in their losses. I think there's a 5 free throw differential there. They're not rebounding the ball as well on the road. So those second chance opportunities are going to hurt them.
Yeah, there's like no effort. You can tell on the road. They're not getting off the bus. Let's talk about your last game against Houston, that blowout you mentioned. They're just getting off the bus. I don't know. Either it's injuries, of course, that's going to make hinder them throughout this trip. But when players are injured, the other players on the bench usually they make the effort. It's not there on defense though, and Albert said it best. The differential is there, and I don't think it's Ham play calling per se. I think it's the injuries and the effort, and it's just not there, right? It's just not there. These guys on the bench are not doing it. So hopefully tonight, I think AD will be back. He's probable his status against the Phoenix Suns. Defense comes back, right? And pull out a win.
Yeah, I think the one question I think about is why were they so successful at the end of the year last year, at the end of last year's season? And I just remember Gerald Vanderbilt just being such a spark, a Dennis Rodman-like player on defense. He was a 3-and-D guy. He did the little things. He had the hustle. He really sparked that team last year. I think a lot of that credit went to Reeves, which rightly so. But I really feel like they missed that energy guy in the starting lineup or coming off the bench. I mean, they just kind of missed that kind of energy, as a whole team. I think that they thought that they had some kind of remedy, to what problems ailed them last year. And this year it seems kind of like they started similar to last year. Lack of energy, lots of injuries, and man, every team is just killing us when it comes to the three-pointers, the penetration and the kickouts. Same problem that we had last year. So I have to look at maybe because we don't have Jared Vanderbilt to start the season, we don't have that extra spark defensively.
Yeah, I mean, with the way it's going, that 2-10 start, it's heading in that direction.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah. I think it's really a combination. I mean, Hams, plays. He's not an X and O guy. He's a player's coach. He has to go into his bag or his coaching buddy Carousel to get some help with his plays. This 5 out, like this, it's BS. I mean, it's not working for the Lakers. I mean, yes, the 5 out, what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to space the floor, open up your driving lanes, helps on the offense, but it's not helping on the defense at all because we're not getting the rebounds. All the teams are out rebounding us, especially on the offensive rebound side. If they're used to it on the defensive side, the offensive side, then they're going to stand around on the 3-point line on the defensive side, and that takes a while for them to crash glass because they're outside of the line. So, yes, injuries along with no 3-point shooting. Our 3-point shooting, I think, is last in the league right now. Still, our superstars are still taking those quarters off, if not each game off, and that's making all of our role players or our defensive players like Bando, like Prince, they're overcompensating for the lack of defense that the other players aren't playing. So they have to run around and they have to do what our superstars aren't doing, right? So I mean, I feel like these role players, they're important, if not as important as these superstars. Our last segment, if you guys haven't heard, our Smoke and Fire, we talked something about Ham's rotations and training regimen and whatnot. If you haven't, go ahead and check out that Smoke and Fire session. But talking about role players, let's let Nas take over on role players.
Role players. So role players, we're talking about this year, or we're talking about underrated players from the past, or a little bit of both.
Yeah, both.
Right. Yeah. For the role players now, I mean, I just feel like we have a lot of injuries. One thing that I really was impressed with in the Clippers game in their fourth quarter or their second half comeback was Cam Reddish. I saw him guarding Kawhi Leonard at some times, and of course he also was on Paul George, and of course those guys got theirs. But I really thought he, was a key part to the defensive energy with that second half run. Shades of Trevor Ariza, maybe, at least defensively. I don't know, not offensively, but I feel like he has that athleticism and he has that grit. Also, he's trying to prove himself because he's a couple bad games away from being in the G League. Once this contract is done, so I think that I feel Cam Reddish can be a key factor going forward with defensive intensity. Doesn't seem to be afraid of guarding those main guys and those key guys. So that's a role player that comes to mind to keep an eye on going forward. As far as underrated Lakers in the past, a lot of them have a lot more accolades than Cam Reddish. But I have a top 5 for you guys. And I go way back. I go way back to 1972.
Oh,
Are you guys
way
familiar
back.
with that Lakers team?
No.
Was that the Jerry West era?
That was
that
the
is.
Jerry West era. So before
Baylor.
1996, which was when the Chicago Bulls won 70 games. I don't know if you guys are probably familiar with that team. Michael Jordan, the before mentioned Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen. They went 70-12. The team before them that had the record for the most wins in a season was the 1972 or 71-72 Lakers. That team had a battered and bruised Elgin Baylor at the end of his career. That team had Jerry West, and that team had Wilt Chamberlain. All names that we're all familiar with, correct? But there are a couple names that you may not be familiar with. There was a power forward on that team named Happy Hairston, Harold Happy Henderson. He would be a great guy to have on the team these days. He averaged 13 rebounds per game and 13 points. So he was a very solid player to play along with Chamberlain. And a lot of people just don't really talk about him, but he was a key part to that team that won 69 games in 1972. Also, who was the leading scorer on that 1972 team? A man by the name of Gail Goodrich. Have you ever heard of his name?
Hall of Famer.
Hall
yeah,
of
I've
Famer.
heard of-
Yeah.
yes.
You've heard. Okay, but he
UCLA.
actually led that team that won that championship. And they had not won a championship since the Minneapolis days. They had lost to the Celtics, I think, 6 times in a row, or 6 out of 8 years. They lost to the Celtics in the finals. Can you imagine? I mean, we're sitting here criticizing the Lakers after 8 bad games, but they lost 6 or 7 finals in a row. They finally won in 1972,
LeBron?
and Gail Goodrich was their leading scorer. And so he led the team in points, and he played along with Jerry West, and that was basically the year that they broke that record. And they won 69 games and then eventually beat the Knicks, I think, in 6 games in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't realize Pat Riley was on that team too.
Pat Riley was the sixth man.
Yeah, he was on the team.
Speaking of six men, Jay, another man on my Lakers role player underrated list, even though Gail Goodrich wasn't really a role player, but I had to put him in there. But another player was Lamar Odom,
Hello.
a player that we just don't hear about unless we're talking about Khloe Kardashian. And with this player, he was a man that could penetrate, a man that could do his right hand, go with his right hand, a man that could go with his left hand. He could shoot the three when that wasn't so popular for threes or fours to shoot the three. And they lost to the Celtics in what year, gentlemen?
2008.
Oh wait,
2008. That summer, they decided to put him on the bench. And he did not have an ego about it and thought it was best for the team. That was probably one of the best Laker seasons of all time, the 2008-2009 Laker team. And he came off the bench and led what they called the bench mob. Jordan Farmar, Sasha Vujacic,
the machine.
and those players, if those ring a bell. So Trevor
yeah.
Ariza started, and Lamar Odom came off the bench.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Lamar Odom, he had the finesse. He could go coast to coast. He could distribute. I see shades of Lamar Odom in Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt could take it to the other side too, and he could dish out. But they're not really giving him the opportunity, and that's really a pity because all they're using him for is basically guard the best defender. I mean, guard the best player on the other side and crash the boards. That's it. Maybe spot up in the corner three, but they're not utilizing him the way they should be. On that team that you're talking about, I think my pick would probably be Big Shot Rob because I mean, come on now, everybody knows about that Game 6 against the Kings. He made that big shot, but he's your prototypical 3-and-D player. I mean, besides him, there's nobody else in the NBA that has 7 rings because I mean that's his accolade, right? What do you guys have as your underrated 6-man?
What do you think, Albert? Because Elo was a good one. I would have went with Elo for sure.
D Fish back in the early 2000s. I mean, you had D Fish, you had Rick Fox, just
I was going to go
guys
Rick Fox
that
too. He was kind of underrated. He really put out the effort defensively and had some big threes.
Got big rebounds. He would, he just did a lot of little things. Glue guy, was there. Did a lot of stuff for the Lakers. Yeah, I mean those guys were great. I mean, Ron Artest when he came by in the 2010 era, I mean he played defense, guarded the best player on the other team. He was tough, gritty, and gave the Lakers that edge that we didn't have. So I mean, he was great. He was a good role player as well. There was a lot of great role players. I mean, every team.
What about, wasn't Glenn Robinson on the 2000 Lakers?
Yeah, Glenn Robinson. He was traded.
He had some big threes.
Glenn Robinson.
Or
Glenn Rice.
Glenn
Rice.
Sorry,
Rice, yeah.
Glenn Rice.
He was traded for
Like
during
Big Dog was on the Lakers? What?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Glenn Rice. He was good. I think AC Green was on the 2000 Lakers too.
So AC Green's on my list as well.
AC Green, right?
Yeah. So he leads. He still has the record in most consecutive games. He's basically the Cal Ripken of basketball with 1,192 consecutive games in his career. And he was the glue guy. Also, like Happy Harrison, he was the power forward. Happy Harrison, the Will Chamberlain, AC Green to Kareem. So he was an excellent complement to that starting lineup, and won 2 championships as well in '87 and 1988 as well.
Yeah, if we're talking about that Magic Kareem era, my guy would be Michael Cooper. I mean, they ran plays just for Michael Cooper called Koopa Loop. Koopa Loop between Magic and Cooper, like that was unstoppable. And he was a 6-man, averaged 8.9 points, 4.2 assists, 3.2 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 27 minutes per game. I mean, he's your ideal kind of 6-man.
And the last man on my list, Nick the Quick Van Exel.
Nick the Quick.
Nick the Quick.
I was about to say Nick the Quick and Eddie Jones.
Yeah, I mean those guys were great. We just didn't win a championship with them.
I know.
Those guys were great role players. I wouldn't call them bench players, but definitely role players. Even like Nick the Quick was the starting point guard. He was out there,
He was.
balling. So I don't know about that.
Yeah,
Even,
Nick the Quick was the starting point guard, and he was picked 37th in the second round, and they only had 27 teams back then, gentlemen. So that means he was the 10th pick in the second round out of the University of Cincinnati. Nobody wanted him because of his attitude. They said he was uncoachable.
I think honorable mention goes to Kurt Rambis as well. He meshed with the Magic era, kind of the flashy times. He was
I don't know.
enforcer, gritty defender. He wasn't. He
Might as
wasn't
well
afraid
put
to
Mark
throw a
Manson
punch.
on there then. And my
Anybody?
honorable mention is Cedric Ceballos, which goes back to that Lake Show team. The Lake Show team with Eddie. They call themselves the Lake Show after the Showtime. That's where the Lake Show originated with Nick Van Axel, Cedric Ceballos, Eddie Jones, Lloyd Divac. And so Cedric Ceballos looked like he was going to be an all-star. And he was an all-star, actually, in 1995, the first year he was a Laker. The next year, Magic Johnson came back, and Cedric Ceballos did not like it very much. So he decided to go on a weekend trip to Lake Havasu and not show up to the game. And that pissed off Jerry West.
Oh, wow.
And the next year, they traded him for a guy that was already mentioned, Robert Ory.
Big shot Rob.
great trade. Great trade.
So speaking of Cedric Ceballos, I was thinking about what are some famous Lakers that have also worn the number 23? Any guesses?
Lou Will.
Lou Will. Was Lou Will 23?
Yeah,
Yep.
I think he
Very
was.
good.
Lou Will was 23.
Wasn't on my list. Very good. I love it.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
And the obvious one is LeBron James, of course.
Yep.
LeBron James.
What about Sacramento King legend in the 90s,
Mitch
Mitch
Richmond.
Richmond?
Yeah.
Played for the Lakers for one season where they won a championship in 2002. It was his swan song year. He wore the number 23 for the Lakers. Then the next one, I bet you guys will not guess, but you all know him. Stu Lance. Played
Jim
for the Lakers.
Barnes.
Two Lands. He wore 23?
He played for the Lakers in 1973, a year or two after their great years. It was when they were on the decline before they got Abdul-Jabbar, and he wore 23 with an afro as well.
Oh, dang. Okay. I did not know that one.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
And that
There
is
was another guy. I
nice
think he
lesson.
played a year. His name was Mario Bennett. He wore 23 as
Mario
well.
Bennett. Yeah, he was in the Shaq years before they won the championships in 1997, 98.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the history lesson for today.
All right.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Sounds good. So, what do you guys think these key matchups this Phoenix game is?
Oh, I want to see Christian Wood on KD. So in the first game, they put Cam Reddish on KD. KD was on fire. He was cooking everybody at that point. But he went cold. KD went cold in the fourth quarter. The switch was made with Wood on KD. I want to see that all game. Now, I mean, that'd be cool. Devin Booker is out, but Bradley Beal is in. So the difference now is Beal is in tonight, right? So KD has someone to rely on, right? When he's getting doubled, he could throw to Bradley Beal. So I'm gonna look at that matchup. Who's gonna be guarding Beal? Is it Austin Reeves? Who's it gonna be, right? So is that to me? I'm gonna look at that matchup.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. You have Prince on Beal, and then you have Wood on KD. It's just when those starters sit, that's when we're in trouble.
All right, I'm gonna see how many threes LeBron shoots tonight. Hopefully it's 0.
Yeah, I'm
Hey, he
curious to
did
see
all
how-
right the first time round.
Leave
Listen,
LeBron
no one
alone.
can stop him when he drives. And in the Suns game, the first game, fourth quarter, last 6 minutes, he drove. He didn't shoot a 3. He drove. and he won that game pretty much. On his put the game on. His
No, in
shoulders
that
and
fourth
won.
quarter, he
drove.
kind of had that off balance three, like, and he made it.
I'm just saying when he drives, the success rate for the Lakers to win goes way up.
Yeah.
And when he starts chucking those threes, dude, it's like game's over.
That's true, but at the same time, all they're gonna do is collapse the paint because they know we can't shoot the threes.
Yeah. Like the Miami
So we
game
need
when he
an
had to kick it out to
assassin.
Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish did not come through in the clutch.
He missed it. I think Cam Reddish was, the moment was too big, put down his leg, got scared.
Didn't channel his inner
Not really an
Trevor
athlete.
Ariza,
Just
that's for sure.
couldn't hit the three. Well, maybe next time we'll be ready. I think next time Cam Reddish will be ready. No, serious.
For me, I'm
He just
curious to
wasn't used to it.
see how D'Lo and Austin Reeves come out. Austin Reeves in the
I
last
thought
game
how D'Lo's
against,
gonna come out
yeah, I mean,
flat, 1 for 10.
hopefully not, because no Devin Booker. It is Bradley Beal tonight. One of them is going to have to guard Bradley Beal unless they're going to put Cam Reddish on him. But somebody's going to have to guard KD, and then somebody's going to have to guard Bradley Beal. I don't think LeBron's guarding either, but maybe we'll see it in some moments. But I'm curious to see how those two come out. Austin Reeves and D'Lo, they both need to bounce back, have good performances, because there's not really a lot of threats out there on the guard positions for
I
the
think Reeves has a
Suns.
bounce back game. I don't know about D'Lo.
And they don't have a bench, right? So if
Eric
we
Gordon,
can stop, we can
right?
stop. Like we won the game 2 weeks ago versus Phoenix because we were able to stop Durant. Now there was no Booker or Beal, but they didn't have any other option in the fourth quarter. Eric
Gordon was their
in the
option,
first half.
and that's like, ooh.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
that,
I think our bench
they
might be
have
worse than theirs right
Randy.
now, though.
Well, where did Torian Prince go? He had a great preseason. He was hitting those threes in
He's
the
getting
corner,
hurt.
but he doesn't seem to be a player. I mean, he's been injured a couple games, but he hasn't had that kind of impact game where he's made his name so far this season either.
Yeah, he had the first game of the season. I think he had 20-something points. He hit like 60% of his 3-pointers. So he had that first game, and then he hasn't really. He's kind of disappeared, but that probably is because of the injury. We haven't seen much of him, and they just like Cam Reddish, that his length. So I think that's where his minutes are bleeding. Him and Austin Reeves is also taking up more minutes, so that's probably why we haven't seen much of Torian.
Jay, can I ask a question to the panel?
Sure.
Why do you feel like Austin Reeves is struggling so far this season? Do you feel like it's because the defenses are game planning for him now? Or do you feel like it's in his head with his contract and with, all the expectations that may have been put on him?
No, I definitely think it's teams are game planning for him, and you can see it. They're attacking him. And you could see it from the end of last year. When we talked about the playoffs, we said that Austin Reeves, he moves his feet well, but he's light in the pocket. Bigger guards can drive against him, get by him, use their muscle against him, push him off. They can post on him as long as they're not being finesse about it. If they go strong against him, they're going to get calls, they're going to get scores. So teams are game planning to isolate him a little bit more, and it's working. And at the same time, it's a new year, new team. He's trying to find his place in the offense. He hasn't had many opportunities with the ball to play the point guard position, which is where we saw a lot of in the end of the year. In the playoffs against Golden State, we saw him with the ball at the end, like ticking down on the clock. So I think those things are why we aren't seeing Reeves really perform well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think teams are kind of, now preparing for Austin Reeves in a way, but I also think it's the other opposing team's players more so playing harder on Austin Reeves. He was getting a lot of hype last year. He was being the savior. We're nicknaming him. He's him. I think teams now are players are like, no, they feel like they're better than him. He's getting too much hype. he's not. They're saying he's not that good, and they're kind of just putting more effort on him. Stuff like that. Kind of like you play, basketball at the park. Some guy he's getting high, he's making his threes. You start playing some defense on him, he starts struggling. That's kind of what's happening right now, I think.
Yeah,
They're
like
really
what
focusing on him.
Yeah, Ime Udoka, the Houston's head coach, pointed that out against Jalen Green. He said, "Hey, Austin Reeves made the actual starting roster for the USA team,
The
and
FIBA,
Jalen
right?
Green, yeah, and Jalen Green was on the select team. So he said, well, look at that. Look, Austin Reeves has got your spot. What are you going to do about it? So Jalen Green came out, just destroyed Austin Reeves. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
There's a target on his back now.
Yeah,
Let's put it,
for
put
sure.
it that way.
And you know
Yeah.
what Mike Tyson said, right? Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yep.
So,
I
what
don't
is
know.
Reeves
Austin
count?
Reeves gets punched in the face quite a bit. I think it's a combination,
gets back
right?
up.
Heavy legs from FIBA. They're finally picking up steam again. They're playing them hard on both ends. It's like if you play hard on the defensive end, you're going to run out of gas on the offensive end, and that's when your legs aren't under you. Can't shoot as well. Same goes for both Vando and Prince, and even Reddish now. It's like if you're blowing all of your gas on that defensive end, chasing around best players, like when it comes to offensive end and they want you to shoot that three or they want you to go up for that dunk, it might not be there, for them.
I don't know. No excuses for me. There's Klay Thompson did it for years. Hit shots, played the best player on the offensive end over there. He guarded them. Kobe for a stretch of his career was carrying the team on his back and still playing the best player on the other side. There's no excuses. Austin's
Reeves
just got to
was undrafted. He was not
exactly
ever compared to
I'm not
Kobe
saying-
or Klay Thompson.
No, yeah, exactly. I'm not saying
Nobody
that.
even knew who he was 3-4 years ago.
I'm just saying that Austin Reeves is not as talented as those guys, and it's just showing right now. It's just that's the reason. I mean, he's not as talented as those guys. He's very skillful. He's gonna have to improve physically in order to keep up with like some of these talents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I think that he got a fair deal in the contract negotiation. Obviously, if they gave him more, I thought he would have been overpaid. And I think he's earning his contract still. And I don't think he's going to be an all-star, but I do think he's a good player.
He and Caruso.
That's not happening.
Caruso had some great games lately.
And,
so I
and
don't
have
know.
you heard the rumors?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
the Caruso
rumors
show.
about
Yeah.
Caruso maybe coming back in a trade.
No more trades. But you heard it here first, Lakers fan.
Great deal right now.
We went a
Breaking
bit
news.
over again today, but if you like that history show that Nas put on, go ahead, comment down below. If you like that format, and we'll see you guys next time.
Go Lakers.
All right, let's go.
Go Lakers. Get dubs.